Alexander Fleming, the mistake that saved 200 million lives. How a forgotten petri dish changed the fate of humanity. Opening scene. The silent killer. In the early 20th century, a small cut could be a death sentence. Pneumonia, tuberculosis, infected wounds, childbirth infections. These were not inconveniences, they were killers. Doctors worked tirelessly, but their tools were limited. Surgery was dangerous. War wounds often rotted with infection. A simple sore throat could turn fatal. In some hospitals, more than 30% of patients with bacterial infections died. The world didn't need a miracle, it needed a breakthrough, and that breakthrough would come from a mistake. Who was Alexander Fleming? Alexander Fleming was not born into privilege, fame, or scientific royalty. He was born on August 6, 1881, on a small farm in Lochfield, Ayrshire, Scotland. His father died when Alexander was just 7 years old, leaving his mother to raise the family with limited means. Young Fleming was quiet, observant, curious. Not the type teachers predicted would change the world. He walked miles to school. He helped on the farm. He learned discipline early, not from books, but from hardship. At age 13, Fleming moved to London to live with his older brother. He worked clerical jobs, uncertain of his future. There was no grand plan, no destiny calling his name. His life changed by chance, again. When opportunity met discipline. In 1901, Fleming inherited a small sum of money from an uncle. Instead of comfort, he chose education. He enrolled at St Mary's Hospital Medical School in London. There, he discovered something important about himself. He wasn't the loudest, he wasn't the most confident, but he was exceptionally observant. Fleming joined the laboratory of Sir Almroth Wright, a pioneer in immunology. While others chased recognition, Fleming focused on detail, on patterns, on what others overlooked. He served as a captain in the Royal Army Medical Corps during World War I, witnessing firsthand how infection killed more soldiers than bullets. Antiseptics burned healthy tissue. They failed deep wounds. Fleming saw men survive battle, only to die from bacteria days later. That injustice haunted him, the question that drove him. While the world accepted bacterial death as inevitable, Fleming asked a quiet but revolutionary question. Why must infection always win? He studied bacteria relentlessly. He searched for substances that could kill microbes without harming the human body. Years passed, experiments failed. Recognition was minimal. Fleming was not famous, he was not wealthy. By the late 1920s, he was respected, but hardly celebrated. Then came September 1928, the mistake. Fleming returned to his laboratory at St Mary's Hospital after a summer vacation. His workspace was cluttered, petri dishes stacked carelessly, some contaminated with mold. To most scientists, contamination meant failure. To Fleming, it meant curiosity. One dish stopped him. A blue-green mold had grown accidentally, likely drifting in from an open window. Around it was something extraordinary, a clear, bacteria-free ring. The bacteria had been destroyed. Fleming stared at it longer than anyone else would have. He later said, "I did not invent penicillin. Nature did that. I only discovered it." That mold was Penicillium notatum. And that clear ring was the death of bacteria. What Fleming discovered. Fleming realized the mold produced a substance that killed bacteria, did not harm human cells, worked where antiseptics failed. He named it penicillin. In 1929, he published his findings. The world barely noticed. Penicillin was unstable, difficult to extract, impossible at the time to mass produce. Many dismissed it as interesting but impractical. Another man might have quit. Fleming did not. Why the world ignored him? Here is a hard truth. History often hides. Great discoveries are often ignored at first. Fleming lacked funding. He lacked chemical expertise. He lacked influence. For nearly a decade, penicillin remained a laboratory curiosity, but the idea survived. When history returned to the discovery, in the late 1930s, Europe stood on the edge of war again. Two scientists at Oxford, Howard Florey and Ernst Boris Chain, revisited Fleming's work. They believed penicillin could be refined. World War II gave urgency to the problem Fleming had identified years earlier. Together, they developed methods to purify and mass-produce penicillin. In 1941, the first patient was treated successfully. By 1944, penicillin was being produced at scale in the United States. It saved soldiers. It saved civilians. It changed medicine forever. The numbers that shocked the world before penicillin. Pneumonia mortality up to 30%. Septic wound, death rates, catastrophic. Childbirth infections, common and fatal. After penicillin, infection. Mortality rates dropped by over 80% in many cases. Surgery became safer. Life expectancy rose dramatically. Conservative estimates suggest that penicillin and its antibiotic descendants have saved over 200 million lives. 200 million, not by force, not by fame, but by observation. The man behind the miracle. Despite global impact, Fleming remained humble. In 1945, he shared the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine with Florey and Chain. In his Nobel speech, Fleming issued a warning that still echoes today. The misuse of penicillin could lead to resistant bacteria. Decades later, antibiotic resistance is one of humanity's greatest medical threats, exactly as Fleming predicted. He was not only a discoverer, he was a thinker. Why this story matters today. Alexander Fleming's life delivers powerful lessons. 1. Your background does not decide your impact. A farm boy from rural Scotland changed global medicine. 2. Mistakes are not the enemy. The mold was an accident. The discovery was a choice. 3. Observation is power. Others saw contamination. Fleming saw possibility. 4. Recognition may come late. He waited over 15 years for the world to understand. 5. One person can change everything. Not with perfection, but with persistence. The real miracle. Penicillin was not magic. The miracle was attention. The miracle was curiosity over convenience. The miracle was a man who refused to discard something just because it looked wrong. The question for us, Alexander Fleming died in 1955, quietly, without spectacle. But every hospital, every surgery, every saved infection, they whisper his legacy. So the question is not, what if Fleming hadn't made that mistake? The real question is, what are you overlooking today because it looks like a failure? Because history doesn't change through perfection. It changes when someone looks at a mistake and sees hope.